Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and when I'm not remembering simpler times when I saw the first live-action Scooby-Doo film in theaters, and weeped over how great of an accomplishment of cinema it truly was, I'm here at the Wolfula reviewing horror movies, but in this case, a Scooby-Doo movie. Again. Yep, you guessed it, I'm reviewing the brand new Scooby movie simply titled Scoob, still fresh in theaters. No, wait. Fresh in home theaters. Scoob was supposed to be the first theatrical animated Scooby-Doo movie, but it's just another direct-to-video animated movie like all the rest. Fuck. Well, that first trailer has really aged poorly, and so the rest of the movie if I'm being completely honest. Now, I'm a fan of the Scooby-Doo franchise, and saying that, even though I might be critical of certain things in the series, usually my feeling is that even when a Scooby thing is bad, I can still get some level of enjoyment out of it. I mean, 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo had fucking flim-flam for God's sake, but I still watched it. I can't say that I got very much enjoyment out of Scoob, though, honestly. I was cautious about the film once details began to emerge, but I genuinely believe that even if I disagreed with the creative direction of the film, I'd still have fun. But honestly, beneath the cheery, colorful surface, Scoob is a bleak watch. I will talk about the plot of the film in this video, but I'll save major spoilers for the end with a warning. I don't really know how to properly describe the story of Scoob. It's fucking insane, though. The movie's only 90 minutes, but feels a lot longer and like you're binging through multiple different films stapled together crudely. For some odd reason, the first 10 minutes are dedicated to a totally pointless prequel section that explains the formation of Mystery Incorporated, which doesn't have anything to do with the actual plot. It just feels like it's there to pad out the runtime. It's too rushed to actually build the characters and their bond up much. One thing to address right away is that the gang doesn't live in Coolsville in this movie. They live in the real-life Venice, California. Why the arbitrary change? I don't fucking know. I guess an exec thought it'd be hipper. Shaggy and Scoob are introduced as young loners that find each other at the beach and decide to become best friends.
I promise I'll never take it off.
From there, it's suddenly Halloween, and some bullies throw Shaggy's candy into a nearby haunted house, but thankfully, out of nowhere, 3 already good friends show up to help Shag and Scoob: Fred, Daphne, and Velma. They go into the haunted house and run into a supposed ghost inside, their first mystery. Well, it's not much of a mystery, they just beat the shit out of the ghost and unmask him, revealing him to be some Gary Cole-looking motherfucker who I guess was stealing shit from a nearby Best Buy. The only saving grace from this whole prequel sequence is that it ends with a remake of the original Scooby-Doo Where Are You intro as a montage of the gang solving mysteries over the years. Things go further downhill rapidly from here, though. The gang has decided that they need to transition their freelance mystery solving into an actual business that, I guess, generates revenue somehow, and their potential investor is Simon Cowell for some fucking reason. This feels like a plot point straight out of a Shrek movie. In fact, the 3D model they use for Simon Cowell in this movie looks like the exact same one from the Shrek 2 DVD sing-along special feature from 15 years ago.
I'm hungry for some talent here.
Simon Cowell showing up is like something you'd see in a later episode of The Simpsons. Oh, God.
Identifying potential is what I do.
Mr. Cowell determines that Scooby and Shaggy bring nothing to the mystery-solving table, and this brutally honest truth leads Shag and Scoob to go bowling to blow off steam, which is apparently a thing that they do, I guess, but they end up the target of robot scorpions that also transform into adorable little robots that were definitely designed to compete with the minions from Despicable Me. Shaggy and Scooby are rescued, though, by none other than their hero, Blue Falcon. Well, not really. The original Blue Falcon has retired, bequeathing his legacy to his son, Brian, who is basically a blowhard asshole who is lousy at being a superhero, and, I guess in a role reversal, Dyno-Mutt is a totally competent straight man foil to Blue Falcon and has lost all of his personality traits that made him interesting. Now he's just a cool robot dog, something that even Dexter's Laboratory was aware would take away what made him special. Also, Blue Falcon dabs in this movie. It's terrible, and a good example of the caliber of humor employed in the film. If you thought the farting scene in the live-action film was lowbrow, trust me, Scooby-Doo in 2020 can go even lower brow.
How does he do that? See, he's mean, but but he makes it fun.
Here's the other thing about the new Blue Falcon in this movie. He's basically the main character of this Scooby-Doo movie. The movie focuses heavily on Blue Falcon's character arc as he slowly becomes more of a hero. The Scooby Gang take a backseat a lot of the time, which sucks because I'm not invested in a totally new Blue Falcon. Fred, Daphne, and Velma are off trying to find Shag and Scoob, so you don't even get to see the gang act as a team for most of the movie. It's like this film was low-key made to be a backdoor pilot for a new Blue Falcon movie franchise. It's crazy. A totally new character is introduced named Dee Dee Sky, who is Blue Falcon's pilot, but she doesn't really offer much to the plot. She serves the exact same role as Dyno-Mutt, basically just calling Blue Falcon out on his bullshit.
Now, I got a few waivers for you guys to sign. Oh, great timing, Keith.
Basically, the story from here is Blue Falcon trying to stop Dick Dastardly from Wacky Races, who has assembled a fleet of flying machines to try to find 3 ancient giant dog skulls and also capture Scooby-Doo. Why does Dick want these MacGuffins? I'll get into it later with the spoilers, but trust me though, it's insane. The plot overall of Scoob is just kinda nonsensical to me. It's this globe-trotting adventure that feels like it's been constructed with short attention spans in mind, going into totally different directions throughout the film. It's almost like the movie was written by 20 different people who each wrote a scene and then just passed the script on to another writer who had to figure out where the plot would go. It's just a super messy story. Scooby-Doo is all about simplicity and storytelling, but with this film, it's a whole lot of sound and Falcon Fury signifying nothing. Scoob just leaves you to digest a lot of weird bullshit throughout, and it's just overwhelming trying to follow or even care about it. You definitely won't be bored watching Scoob, but you might be baffled by the whole experience, and that might be due to the fact that the film was conceived differently originally. Why the title Scoob? Well, originally it was going to be an acronym, and the Scooby Gang was going to be secret agents involved with characters in the Hanna-Barbera universe. Clearly, the movie was heavily retooled, but it still has a lot of holdovers from what it was originally envisioned to be. Scoob tries to hold on to some semblance of tradition, but this was supposed to be a much different movie, a more ambitious crossover, but it's relegated to traditional versions of the Scooby Gang that feel like they don't belong in a story that also happens to have Blue Falcon, Dick Dastardly, and a kinda pointless random appearance by Captain Caveman, played by Tracy Morgan for some reason.
Oh, word? No disrespect. So what brings you guys to Mystery Island?
The whole plot of the film feels like the product of executive meddling, watering down the meddling kids we know and love in order to turn them into something they're not, in order to appeal to the widest target demographics possible with some of the most contrived, cliche jokes you could imagine. Dyno-Mutt at one point asked Velma not to check his search history.
Stay out of my search history!
Such a tired joke, and it just confirms that Dyno-Mutt is probably into weird porn. Okay, so the plot sucks, but how are the characters handled? Not fucking well either. I've already established that Blue Falcon is an unlikable dick. And Dyno-Mutt is boring now, but the human members of Mystery Inc. are fucking horrendous in this movie, thanks largely due to the bland voiceover performances. Scoob is the best example of hired gun celebrity stunt casting. Zac Efron, Amanda Seyfried, Gina Rodriguez, and Will Forte play Fred, Daphne, Velma, and Shaggy respectively, and they bring nothing to the table as voice actors. Fred, Daphne, and Velma are totally boring. They just sound like regular people and don't really have any interesting traits to distinguish them.
That is not fair for the rest of us who have to pay for Netflix.
You have to pay for Netflix?
This will not stand.
Will Forte's Shaggy, though, is the biggest disappointment of the film because his performance is genuinely terrible.
Hello, Adventure. Yes, will you take my name and number off your list?
Leading me to wonder why we lost Matthew Lillard for this.
Almost as if he was a middle-aged man's idea of how a teenage hippie talks.
Anyone can do a better Shaggy voice than the one Will Forte does in this film. I'm convinced that Will Forte was forced to do a voice that sounds only vaguely Shaggy-like because the studio paid a lot of extra money to get bigger stars and wanted to make sure the celebrity voices were recognizable. Thankfully, Frank Welker delivers a great performance as Scooby like always.
This is our chance.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
I'm glad they didn't try to fucking get Vin Diesel or something to play Scooby. I also gotta say that Jason Isaacs as Dick Dastardly is pretty damn great, delivering an over-the-top, theatrical, cartoony voice that's a fun interpretation.
Of course it was a failure, because you failed me.
Adding on to my kudos of Scoob is that it looks great, the animation is well done with a lot of personality put into it, and the redesigns of characters work very well, besides a few examples of unnecessary over-designed things like the mystery machine looking mostly the same, except a bunch of clunky equipment added on. Even though I prefer a darker aesthetic for Scooby-Doo, the colorful cartoon world of the film is rendered lovingly. The backgrounds of the movie have a lot of appeal in their retro-futuristic design, and I also appreciate all the little Easter eggs thrown in this movie. There's even a Hex Girls poster. Oh boy, yes. Even though I think the plot of the film sucks, I have to admit that the animators pulled double duty on this flick, trying to make up for its weaknesses just by doing a great job, and I must commend them for that. What I can't commend is the final act and twist of the film. Here's where I get into the big spoilers. Skip to this time code if you want to avoid them and just hear my final thoughts. Okay, let's break it down. Scooby is apparently descended from Alexander the Great's dog and is required by Dick Dastardly to open a portal created by the skulls of Cerberus in Athens that leads to a massive treasure trove in hell, and also Dick's dog's sidekick Muttley is trapped there. It's fucking nuts, but weirder still is that it turns out that the gate opened by Scooby unleashes Cerberus upon the world, bent on the destruction of humanity. By the end though, Blue Falcon learns how to be a hero, and with the help of Shaggy and Scooby's bowling skills, Cerberus is defeated, but with a caveat. The door that traps Cerberus in the underworld has to be locked by somebody from the inside. So Shaggy makes the ultimate sacrifice and locks himself in hell with Cerberus. It's so fucking crazy. This is so far removed from a Scooby-Doo plot, it's ridiculous. Ultimately though, Shaggy is set free from hell by Cerberus because he's annoying, I guess, and Dick Dastardly is captured, unmasked to be Simon Cowell, but then unmasked again as Dick Dastardly. Okay. At the end, Mystery Inc. becomes a proper corporation and Blue Falcon DJs the opening of their new business. Oh boy. The end credits of the film hint at a larger cinematic universe of Hanna-Barbera characters like Jabberjaw and Johnny Quest and a potential sequel, but I doubt a Scoob 2 will ever materialize. Scoob isn't very good at the end of the day. It easily pales in comparison to a lot of the direct-to-video Scooby-Doo movies like Zombie Island. Will kids like Scoob though? Most likely, but the movie just doesn't feel like a sincere attempt to reinvent these characters for the 21st century. It feels like a cold corporate attempt to quote-unquote fix old cartoon characters, ignoring what makes them special in order to pander to a wider audience. I give Scoob a Rick out of Dick. Okay, I swear guys, I'm gonna have more horror content on the channel soon, hosted by Live Action Me. I've just been taking some detours. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, like it, and if you loved it, subscribe for more and click the bell icon to find out when my latest vids and streams go live. Want a double dose of Dr. Wolfula? Donate to my Patreon and you'll get bonus content for supporting the channel, including exclusive movie streams and commentaries weekly. I'd like to give a special thanks to my true Wolfulite supporters on Patreon and my channel memberships for their pledges. Their support helps keep the channel going after all these years. Thank you guys. Alrighty, Dr. Wolfula signing out. See you all next time.